All right, live in the Armed American Radio Video Network studios with Rob Pincus, who is, I can't say in parts unknown. We we found out where you were yesterday, Rob. So you're up in New York City right now, in parts unknown. Maybe you're not in Manhattan. Maybe tell us where you're at.
Right. So technically, I've got one more student. As soon as he gets out of here, I'll take this mask off. We just finished the first of 2 sessions today at the Pioneer Shooting Center. We're technically in Mount Vernon, New York. This is, I'm pretty sure it's the closest range to New York City proper. It's the closest one that I've used for years. And I am really glad to be here. Basically, what happened was last week, Seaman, thank you. We reached out to the management here. We had a class scheduled here, obviously, as part of the spring training tour. I've been teaching here for about 5 or 6 years. And they were supposed to have opened today. Officially, they were supposed to have been able to open up today. As of maybe 2 weeks ago. Then it got changed to a date in June, like June 6th. Then last week, the governor said, well, we don't know. There was a lot of pushback here in the state of New York. So Governor Cuomo said, well, maybe we'll let you know. So we said, you know what, we're going to do the class. We're doing the class on the date, May 15th, the date. And this is responsible rebellion, civil disobedience, whatever you want to call it. There was a chance that the range was actually going to be legally, open. But late last night, the governor actually said, no, June 15th is now the start date that this building theoretically can be open. But the owner's ready to open up. And what we wanted to do was prove that training could be done in a way that was respectful in regard to coronavirus concerns. So we have a few things. Reduced class size. So we have half the number of people we normally would or less. We could probably get 10 people on this range. Normally we do 8 or 9. We only had 4 students in the first session. We're going to have 4 students in the second session. We also have reduced duration of class. So the way I'm going to be doing these classes, especially in indoor ranges and areas where there's been an outbreak, if there is an outbreak in the future, the second wave, the third wave, whatever, we're going to do a lot of distance education, online training. People are going to get the lecture and the theory, take an online quiz. They're going to show up to the range for less time, still get the same amount of shooting for those number of hours, but we're going to do a little bit less lecture than we normally would.
How are you?
Masks up.
How are you changing your drills?
The drills really haven't changed. Nothing has changed about the drills whatsoever. The drills we ran this morning are the same drills people are used to if they've taken a CFS class or a USCCA DSF class or an IDS class, any of the classes under the I.C.E. training company banner. The same exact drills, same lectures. We have an extra block talking about what we're going to do, obviously, in the morning with the masks. So everybody's wearing masks. I'm wearing gloves, right? So I've got gloves that I'm putting on, and anytime I touch a student or the gear, then I burn those gloves and I put on another set. Now, obviously, I'm not touching the students or using their guns and demoing with their guns as much as I normally would, right? Normally, I'm taking students' guns and doing things all throughout a class, right? This morning, I think I had to change my gloves 3 times, twice for touching guns to demonstrate something, and once for touching a student and adjusting something. And other than that, I just kept the same mask on. The mask was on all the time. We kept everybody at least 6 feet, probably more like 10 or 15 feet away from each other when I was lecturing. So lots of space on the lecture. I'm 15 or 20 feet away when I'm lecturing. Obviously, I keep my mask on during that whole time. We took one break in the middle where we let people go outside and get some fresh air. The truth is, on a day like today, so much air moving through here. This range was redone probably 4 or 5 years ago. There's so much air moving through here that if I am down by the targets and the students are uprange and I'm talking to them, nothing I'm putting out, even if I wasn't wearing the mask, is going to go 10 feet towards them.
1 or 2 shots and I hit slide lock, I'm going to stay on the target while I'm reloading and drive it back out and shoot. If you get 3, you might shoot again, you might not. But if you're planning on shooting at the target again, stay looking at the target while you're reloading. Because that's what you would be doing in real life. You wouldn't look away, right? You'd look at the target and then finish and shoot. So if I see you staring at the target during your reload, I expect to see you shoot. If I see you looking around after your reload, I expect to see you in the ready position until you look at the second target and then drive out and shoot. Make sense?
Right, and the students are not linear on the exhaust line. They're perpendicular to the exhaust line, so anything they're doing is also getting swept towards the trap. One of the beauties of these environments is they're designed to take heavy metals that are particulated from mercury and lead and push them down into the trap away from where the students are. So even though we're in front of the barricades doing the normal movement and all the stuff we do, the ventilation is really contributing to the reduction in contamination. And again, I need to say, this was not like Rob in a basement thinking this up. I've consulted with people from Health and Human Services who've been right here, including working at the Javits Emergency Center, medical center that they had set up out there. Thankfully, it's not going to get as bad as it was in New York, probably anywhere else in the world. Unless something really odd happens, it doesn't look like that's the way this is going to go. But this is literally one of the foremost experts in how to respond to the coronavirus. Happens to have been one of my students for a number of years and a friend of mine. He's here to sort of sign off and say, yeah, what you're doing makes sense, Rob. We can't stay locked up forever. We have to get back out there. If we're going to get back out there, we have to get back out there responsibly. So this is a civil disobedience act. Obviously, I'm not in much jeopardy. It's the owner really here who's
right.
Could get the strongly worded letter or the management or all that. But the students all know what they're getting into.
We recently just finished up a class with Rob Pincus, and I have to say, in my honest opinion, that was a very informative class. Due to the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic, we all took the approach with masks. Rob made sure he had hand sanitizer. He also made sure he changed his gloves every time. He kept his lecturing down to a minimum. Transmission, I feel like, was non-existent. We could absolutely continue to operate as a business with the proper precautions.
Here in New York, we practiced social distancing and effectively trained. It was great. Didn't feel unsafe. We made sure that we maintained masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, continuously changed the gloves and the mask throughout the course. This is something that we did completely safe, did not feel unsafe at all. Let's continue to fight.
Great course, great experience. Everybody practiced social distancing. Obviously you can see I have a mask on. It was this is coronavirus safe practices done right. We can do this during this time, so we don't have to worry about staying home and all that other stuff. We can still practice safe practices and still get our training in. Thanks a lot, Rob, for the experience.